Hey scent freaks, welcome! Today I'm going to be doing a video on my top 10 niche blind buy fails. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notifications if you like my content. Now let's get to this unfortunate list. I purchased these fragrances based off their scent profiles, the reviews, the hype around them, and in all honesty, I thought that they were going to be really safe bets. I didn't anticipate that I would be as underwhelmed as I was. Some of the fragrances on the list today I've actually returned, but most of them I do have. I think I have 8 out of 10. The first fragrance on the blind buy fail list is Jasmin Rouge by Tom Ford. This fragrance really appealed to me due to some of the scent notes in it, such as cardamom, vanilla, jasmine, leather, amber, and cinnamon. Now I've sprayed some on the test strip here just for a little refresher, but every single time I smell this fragrance, I think the same things. It never seems to change or get any better, despite the fact that I have worn it several times since, but I'm still unfortunately just not a fan. Unfortunately, the reason why I think this fragrance just wasn't for me is that despite the cardamom and cinnamon in the note listings, there is no real spiciness that I can smell because it's so overpowered by the jasmine and the floral elements in the fragrance. It just is way too floral for me personally. It's also quite bland, and I anticipated a deep, dark, complex fragrance, and that's just not what I smell when I smell it. It's also quite one-dimensional, and when I smell it, I smell toilet freshener. Who wants to smell like that? If you don't enjoy overbearing florals like jasmine and ylang ylang, do not blind buy this fragrance. Please test it first. The next fragrance on the list is Le Labo Santal 33. Now, this is one of the fragrances on the list that I have returned, but after spritzing it the first time, I knew without a doubt this was not a fragrance for me. It had notes in it such as leather, cardamom, amber, violet, and sandalwood. Santal 33 definitely has a cult following. It's a big, hyped up fragrance. So when I blind bought it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a safe bet. It wasn't. When I first smelt Santal 33, I felt this non-smooth, scratchy, harsh, edgy fragrance that just was not pleasant at all to smell. It really needed more balance to counteract all that roughness and scratchiness going on. I just couldn't get any relief, and it was quite unpleasant to smell, to say the least. To me also, it smelled almost outdated, maybe even old-fashioned, and unfortunately it did smell a little generic. My question when I sprayed it is, where is the cardamom, amber, and violet? It was just nowhere to be seen. Me personally, when I spritzed the fragrance, all I could smell was leather and wood. Definitely try Santal 33 before you purchase it because it is not a safe blind buy purchase. If you want an idea about what I smelled when I smelled the fragrance, it basically dried down to a dried, scratchy paper, woody smell. The next fragrance on the list was Moonlight in Heaven by Kilian. This one I was actually extra disappointed about because the note profile sounded so yummy and definitely something I would ordinarily like to wear. It had notes in it such as lemon, mango, coconut, tonka bean, and pink pepper. I think that this fragrance, smelling it, really did have potential, but unfortunately, I think it's the rice note in this fragrance that almost causes that mango note to turn into something sour or like a gone off smell. The vetiver in this fragrance smells way too powerful to the point that it's taken away the mango and coconut punches out of the entire fragrance. I smell BO and the dry down of this fragrance. It is not pleasant at all. I definitely cannot justify the $350 price point for this fragrance. And to be completely honest, this fragrance reminds me of a corner Thai restaurant. And I think the reason that it does that is because of the rice note. Instead of like a creaminess, it's turning the mango into the sour off element, which is what I mentioned before. And so the contrast of the mango and rice kind of going bad gives me like a bad Thai dish or a Thai restaurant vibe. The next fragrance on the list is Changing Constance by Penhaligon's. Now, I was particularly excited about receiving this fragrance due to the scent profile. It had notes in it such as caramel, pimento, salt, cardamom, vanilla, and tobacco. It sounds delicious. This fragrance is not a terrible fragrance. The problem with this fragrance is that it is so incredibly quiet. Because it is so unbelievably quiet, the beautiful salt and caramel notes in there, you can't really pick up unless your nose sort of towards your skin or wherever you've sprayed it. Projection and longevity, obviously being that it is such a quiet fragrance, is quite low, to be honest with you. It's almost a skin scent. The tobacco note listed in this fragrance, unfortunately, is barely there either. And I think that if they punched that up a little bit, it would have given it the projection and longevity that it desperately needed. In my opinion, there are just far too many caramel fragrances out there that are better, much, much better, that are nowhere near this price point. Unfortunately for me, the scent as a result of this ends up being forgettable, generic, overhyped, and definitely not worth the $400 price tag. The next fragrance on the list is Moonlight et Demi by Fragrance du Bois. This fragrance actually really reminds me of the Changing Constance by Penhaligon's, and it almost gives me the same issues as that fragrance as well. It also has quite similar scent notes as well, with the cardamom, caramel, pimento, coffee, cinnamon, and vanilla. It sounds really yummy. And again, this is not a terrible fragrance, but it is very, very quiet once again. It really does become a skin scent after about 30 minutes. So obviously you're not getting any longevity or projection. And that's really my biggest beef with this fragrance. I actually really do enjoy the scent of Moonlight et Demi. The problem is the $500 price tag for essentially a skin scent. What I smell, I really enjoy. I just wish that it hung around a little bit longer. The next fragrance on the list is Cedric Boys by Mancera. This fragrance had notes in it such as lemon, leather, bergamot, blackcurrant, fruity notes, and vanilla. The problem that I had with this fragrance is that it's so overbearing in lemon and leather that I don't get any of the fruity notes at all. I don't get any blackcurrant or bergamot for relief with all those hardcore lemon, leather things going on. So because despite the fact they're listed in the fragrance, because I can't smell them, I'm not getting the desperate relief I need from the hardcore lemon and leather. Because it is so strong with that lemon and leather, it gives me almost a petrol fumey vibe. It also has this odd sour smell to it as well. Cedric Boys can also smell quite plasticky and artificial, almost waxy. Unfortunately for these reasons, Cedric Boys, in my opinion, ends up being a sharp, screechy mess. The next fragrance on the list is Intense Tiare by Montal. Intense Tiare has notes in it such as tiare flower, coconut, vanilla, jasmine, and rose. Unfortunately with this fragrance, it is so dominantly floral that it tends to smell a little waxy. And as a result of that, it ends up overpowering that beautiful coconut, and that creaminess and sweetness and that relief again is just not there. Unfortunately, Intense Tiare crosses over, for me at least, into air freshener territory. It is definitely not worth the $200 price tag, in my opinion. And instead of smelling those beautiful white creamy florals, I'm hit with yellow florals. Basically, if you don't enjoy getting punched in the face by some harsh yellow floral notes, do not blind buy this fragrance. The ninth fragrance on the list is Hayati by Atar Collection. As a gourmand appreciator, I believed this was going to be it for me. It has notes in it such as honey, whipped cream, ice cream, pineapple, raspberry, and vanilla. Unfortunately, when I smell Hayati, I smell a cheap, watery body spray. It has this amazing, opulent looking bottle. You know, it just looks so fancy and beautiful, but the juice inside just doesn't match the fragrance. So don't let the bottle fool you. It's not rich and creamy and decadent, which per the scent profile I thought it would definitely be. Hayati also smells quite cheap and plasticky, almost like the strawberry shortcake plastic toys I used to play with when I was a child. It also unfortunately gives me stripper vibes. The next fragrance on the list is Lovefest Burning Cherry by Kayali. I actually did an unboxing first impression to this fragrance quite recently. If you guys want a more detailed review, go and check that out. So there was a lot of hype, there was a lot of comparisons to other niche fragrances such as Lost Cherry out there, and the note description sounded really yummy. It had burning cherry, praline, raspberry, tonka bean, Palo Santo, and jasmine sambac. So it did sound really, really yummy. When I first sprayed the fragrance, I actually really did enjoy the scent itself. The main issue that I have with this fragrance is the fact that the cherry dissipates so incredibly quickly, and then the cherry that you have left behind crosses over into this medicinal plastic cough syrup cherry. It also has a resemblance to other fragrances and body sprays I've smelled before, such as Victoria's Secret. It has that DNA. I just could not justify the price tag for this fragrance, being that it is a little similar to some other ones that I smelled out there, such as Victoria's Secret, Body Mist, etc. So I think for the whopping $200 price tag for a cherry fragrance where the cherry dissipates and leaves you with not a very nice cherry, projection and longevity is not great either. It becomes almost a skin scent within 20 minutes of spritzing it on. For those reasons, Lovefest Burning Cherry is on my top 10 niche blind buy fail list. The final fragrance on the list is Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. I do not have the fragrance with me. This was one of the ones that I did return after spraying it. I know that this fragrance has a massive cult following, and I know it is well and truly hyped up and a lot of people love and appreciate it, but unfortunately, it just was not for me. Tobacco Vanille had notes in it such as cacao, tonka bean, dried fruits, tobacco, and vanilla. When I sprayed Tobacco Vanille, the first thing that I thought of was, this smells more like a candle to me rather than a body fragrance. The biggest issue that I took with Tobacco Vanille was that the dried fruits, vanilla, and other elements of the fragrance, I just didn't pick up enough to punch through that really pungent tobacco. So I wasn't getting the relief that I desperately needed. Despite the fact that I did not like the fragrance when I first smelt it, I wanted to give it a fair go. So I wore it out, and I had a girlfriend of mine come up to me and ask me if I'd accidentally sat in an ashtray. So unfortunately for me, Tobacco Vanille just didn't give me that sweetness and fruitiness that I really would have enjoyed with that really strong tobacco note. So scent freaks, that is my top 10 niche blind buy fails for 2022. I have had some disappointing fragrances this year, and I thought by the scent profile and the hype around these fragrances that they were going to be ones that I would eventually love too, but unfortunately, it just was not for me. Please remember, scent is very personal and subjective. What one person may love, another may not. It doesn't make a fragrance bad, it just makes it not my type of fragrance. So don't let this put you off, guys. Go and try these fragrances and you might love them, but don't blind buy them because they are not safe blind buy bets. Thanks for watching, everybody. I love and appreciate you all, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.